Good evening, friends, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the third episode of Emergence the Normal, the web series with the name Sustain and Emerge Post COVID is here again. This is going to be an introduction with the management of Venta Bioscience Limited. I welcome you all to join this introduction. About this initiative has been taken by Corporate Capital Venture Private Limited for the stakeholders of companies to assess the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the businesses they are invested in and way forward. This is the third episode with management of Venta Bioscience Limited. It is a BSc listed entity. This is a standard disclaimer. Corporate Capital Venture Private Limited is registered with SEBI as merchant banker and not in any other capacity. We are not investment advisors, brokers, or dealers, etc. This interaction is for the benefit of stakeholders of company, and nowhere the interaction or communication shall be construed as an investment advice. Invitation for subscribing to the securities of company. All opinions are personal in nature and are intended as educational material only. No sensitive, undisclosed price sensitive information will be shared throughout the communication. Although best efforts are made to ensure that all information is accurate and up to date, occasionally unintended errors may occur. Do your own research before investing in capital market. Corporate Capital Venture Private Limited does not enter the SME IPO of company as lead manager. CCP doesn't hold any shareholding in the company. So talking about Venta Bioscience Limited, this is a relatively young organization. It was established in 2016 and this was established to take over the lab which was commissioned as a captive lab of Kevin Industries Asia Private Limited for their global clinical trials. So the company have taken over the lab in 2016-17 and the company was especially incorporated for the purpose of taking over the lab. The lab was used before acquisition by Kemin Industries Asia Private Limited for the global preclinical trials on feed additives and nutraceuticals ingredients. Lab as operational concern was acquired by the current promoters in 2016. This company belongs to a niche sector of preclinical and clinical research, serving to global pharmaceutical, medical devices, nutraceutical, feed additive, biotech, agrochemical, cosmetic, and chemical industries. Risk assessment and services for evaluation of service of the safety of active pharmaceutical ingredient, that is API, excipient, extractables, and leachables. The major services of company is conducting variety of in vitro and in vivo toxicology studies. The lab is accredited by OECD GLP, ISO 17025 NABL, OHS 18001, ALEC. The facility is also compliant with US FDA GLP regulatory guidelines. A very interesting observation which I found out when I was going through the company, that when the company came out with IPO, there was no revenue or profit and loss account of the company. It doesn't have any revenue stream. And though it doesn't have any profit or loss account, it doesn't have any revenue, investors were overwhelmed to subscribe to the issue and the company had made it very successfully. So we are going to talk to Mr. Gopesh Raja, who is the managing director of Venta Bioscience Limited. He is an MBA from Weatherhead School of Management at Case East Western Reserve University, USA. He's a PGDMA. He's a family managed business PGDMA holder from SPGen College, Mumbai. He's bachelor in engineering, mechanical from Osmania University, Hyderabad. He's a member of CIIFPN India chapter, Pharmaceutical Export Promotion Council, and Federation of Indian Exporting Organization. He has more than 10 years of experience in setting up and running companies in the area of manufacturing, research, and development, and is one of the promoters of Sarvottam Group, Hyderabad. So I welcome Mr. Gopesh Raja to join us for the interaction.
Venta Bioscience is an emerging full-service preclinical contract research organization with research laboratories in Chennai, India, Vanta Bioscience is positioned to offer worldwide toxicology evaluation services for clientele in the pharmaceutical, biotech, medical device, cosmetics, agri-foods, nutritional supplements, feed additives, and chemical industries. OECD GLP, ISO, and US FDA GLP, 1 CFR Part 58 regulatory guidelines, Vanta Bio is being established as a center of excellence for pharmacology and toxicology research. Vanta Bio is housed in a new 56,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility specifically designed for compliance with GLP and RLAC international guidelines for humane care and use of small ant species. The facility is registered with the Committee for Purpose of Control and Supervision of Experimentation of Animals, Government of India. Some notable features of the research center include facility designed and built from the ground up in accordance with RLAC international specifications. Facility equipped with individually ventilated cage, HEPA-filtered bracking system for breeding, animal holding, and experimentation. Isolated procedure rooms designed to support 2 holding rooms for dosing, sample collection, cage change, and animal weighing and observation. Class 100,000 facility with efficient HVAC control at 15 air changes per hour, with individual AHUs for each animal room to avoid cross-contamination of air. Dedicated service floor to ensure integrity of the core procedural area. 3-level pressure gradient system, supply and return corridors. Intelligent building management systems, or IBMS. And 24/7 staffed operations with backup UPS and diesel power generation. The facility is supported by well-designed laboratories for genetic toxicology, clinical pathology, necropsy, histopathology, pathology review, bioanalytical and analytical chemistry, formulation and test item control, storage, records retention, dry and wet archives, and staff offices. The facility is well equipped with the latest equipment, instruments, and data tools. The company performs exploratory and regulatory toxicology studies, including acute, subacute, and chronic studies, as well as in vitro and in vivo genotoxicity testing. This is complemented by a battery of routine pharmacology and clinical chemistry assays in rodent species and rabbits. Additionally, validated assays are available for pharmacological evaluations such as ADME, efficacy, and exploratory toxicology in pharmacological animal models. Next to these offerings, batch-release pharmacopoeia tests, USB, BP, IP, are also conducted. Studies in higher species are being offered through affiliate CRO organizations. All standard routes of administration, such as intravenous, intramuscular, intraperitoneal, oral, subcutaneous, and topical, are supported. Custom routes of administration can be accommodated depending on the study requirements. Studies are manned by GLP-trained scientific personnel with a combined experience of more than 100 years of expertise in study design and execution. Animal technicians and handlers are trained in approved SOPs and work in coordination with Vanta Bio study directors to ensure flawless study execution. Independently reporting to senior management, the quality assurance function reviews and approves validated SOPs for all aspects of the center's operation to ensure exceptional quality conduct of the studies. Vanta Bioscience believes that confidentiality is central to customer service excellence and the vital interests of our clients. Compliance with a rigorous corporate confidentiality policy and all approved SOPs is a key parameter for building trust and credibility with our clients. Confidentiality of study data from project initiation through to project completion is maintained diligently with advanced coding procedures. Sponsor-specific secure access electronic repositories are provisioned for project status updates and study reporting, including draft and final reports. Efficient project management practices and proactive customer-centric account management, Vanta Bio is fully geared up to provide an effective blend of quality, service, and cost to enable accelerated study start dates, high-quality study execution, and regulatory compliance for product development. Vanta Bioscience, the next generation full-service preclinical CRO.
Thank you each and every one of the participants of this webinar for taking time out to hear out the industry.
Okay, so the company which you are operating, Mr. Dupesh, is into a very unique kind of business, unique kind of services. So I want to know about your business, your company's business, as a general public, as a general retail investor. What exactly you do?
Okay, so simply put, we are into the space of toxicology research. We are the people who test the various medicines, medical devices, feed additives, supplements, the agrochemicals and chemicals that come out into the market to see whether they are safe or not. So the preclinical studies is the one that we handle at Vanta Bioscience. The testing is primarily done on small animals to ascertain whether the product is safe or not.
Okay.
Then I think the next question that you had was why we entered into this business. So I will give you a little bit of brief about the parent organization as well. Sarvottam Group, which is, I wouldn't say parent organization, but the promoters are common. So the same promoters of Sarvottam are also most of the promoters in the Vanta Group as well. So Sarvottam has been primarily into research and development and manufacturing of healthcare, personal care, home care, and hospital care products. So as a growing organization, looking at value-added services to our research and development efforts, the entry into the preclinical testing was envisaged. So looking at this as an opportunity, not only for providing value-added services to our own internal companies, but also the many research and development entities that are out there today is the idea with which we entered into this space.
Okay. So for the benefit of our guests who are there in this webinar, I am playing a small video which is available on your company on the YouTube. Just in a second, I'm playing this. So is this visible to all? I'm so sorry for the technical problem because I think there was some problem with the voice. The guests, the delegates are saying this. Can you? Am I audible? Am I audible, Mr. Topesh?
Yes, you are, Mr. Kulbhushan, but I think the video that you were playing, the audio was not, the volume was also very low and not very clear. For the interest of the participants, if you can share the YouTube video link.
Share the email, the link of the video on the email so that they can see this later. So
Sure.
coming back to our discussion, sir, let us in detail, let us know what exactly you do, what is the detailed services, the detailed business of the company.
Okay. So as I mentioned, the primary business of Vanta Bioscience is toxicology evaluation services. And we cater primarily to the requirements of the pharmaceuticals, medical devices, additives, feed additives, nutraceutical ingredients, etc., agrochemicals, and the cosmetics industry. So at our lab, we perform various types of toxicological evaluation studies, starting right from an in vitro study where a test for toxicity is performed on a lab-grown microbiology, virus, bacteria, etc. Or it can be, in this case of cosmetics, it is lab-grown human epithelial cells. So the skin cells, instead of doing it on a human or an animal directly, we grow the human epithelial cells in our lab, and the test is performed on that. And the test is equivalent to that being done on the actual human skin. And then so there are various other forms of toxicology which involve the environmental effects, where the studies are performed on various insects like honeybees, earthworms, a particular kind of fish, algae, etc. So all these tests put together, we can safely either claim that a product is safe for human consumption and also is safe for the environment in which it is being used. So basing on the results of the preclinical studies, tests usually proceed to the next level, that is human testing. So then there is a clinical phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and ultimately phase 4 studies. Or if it is a generic, then it will be a bioequivalence or bioavailability study that will be performed. But the precursor for all these studies, even at the research and development stage, where potential molecules for going into the formulation development stage are done at the preclinical level only.
Okay. And tell us something about your capacities, your infrastructure which you have in Chennai and otherwise in the country.
Okay, so basically, roughly put, if you categorize all our studies that we do into toxicological evaluation services and physico-chemical characteristic evaluation services, the current lab facility is about 1,500 toxicology studies annually, and roughly about 2,000 chemistry studies annually. Not only that, the other thing about the facility which we are currently in is that we have occupied only half the land area available, and we also have already taken permissions, of course, quite some time ago, for building an additional building of the same capacity, which will help us effectively double our total capacity offerings within a short span of time, as and when necessary. Having said that, we also have quite a bit of experience. And as you have mentioned in your introduction of the company earlier, the facility was originally started in the year 2010 by a company called Kemin, which is an American multinational that is primarily into the business of animal feed additives and nutraceutical ingredient manufacturing. So this company is a multi-billion-dollar global giant, one of the top 3 global feed additives manufacturers in terms of volume and value, with their own research and development entity for developing new chemical entities. So Vanta Bioscience was set up in India as a captive consumption lab and would carry out all the toxicology studies for their global regulatory submissions. So Vanta Bioscience reports are recognized not only in India, but also the US, several parts of Europe, and many other countries in Asia. So effectively, all the countries where Kemin has registered their products and is selling them, in every such regulatory environment, studies from Vanta Bioscience have been submitted to substantiate the safety of their ingredients. So as a lab, we have a legacy of almost 10 years now. But as an independent entity with the changed management, it is 4 years old.
For you, sir.
Yes.
So how updated your facility is?
So we have, in fact, after we took over, several capabilities were added in terms of capabilities, both in the toxicology evaluation services as well as the PhysChem analysis. As I had mentioned, Kemin was primarily into the feed additives. So food testing or additives testing was what they were primarily into. And most of their capabilities and capacities were restricted to that area alone. Once we took over, we had invested substantially both in equipment. We had made certain modifications to the facility as per the current global regulatory requirements, and also hired the relevant manpower for carrying out the studies for these various other industries.
Okay. Okay. So, sir, tell us about the whole industry in India and globally. Who are the major players? What is the industry size? Please let us know about the industry.
Okay, so preclinical services have existed for quite a long time now. There are many very well established players globally. Some of them are Charles Rivers, then our Advenus in India, then there is Syngene. There are several other small and large players also in India. I think the notable ones are Syngene and Advenus. A few others who have come up recently are BioNeeds. Then we have JRF, the J Research Foundation, Intas, etc., who have been well established and recognized players in the global market as well. This is an industry with a fairly good growth rate. Globally, it has a growth rate of almost 7 to 8%. And as long as there is research and development, these kind of evaluation studies are going to be needed. So it's a complementary industry to the research and development.
Okay. So you have described about your Chennai facility. That is, we can understand that it is a preclinical infrastructure. What about your clinical business?
Okay, so clinical business is a natural extension to the preclinical services that we're offering. So this has been a move in that direction to be a one-stop solution for our clients who are looking for a natural extension of these services. So once a product is deemed safe, the next logical step is to ascertain its efficacy. Or if it is a generic, the bioequivalence with the origin molecule. So to this effect, we have started setting up a facility in Ahmedabad to carry out the biological availability and bioequivalence studies for our clients. So this is going to be majorly a pharma focused setup, as we have already made public. Incure Pharmaceuticals is our captive anchor client. Sorry, not captive, anchor client. And we have firm commercial agreements with them in place, and we will be starting off the studies from them as soon as the facility is ready.
Okay, so you have not started this operations in your clinical.
No, not yet. In fact, unfortunately, COVID has thrown us a curveball. But otherwise, we would have now been announcing the inauguration of the facility otherwise, as per the original schedule.
So how much is the capacity at this clinical infrastructure?
So this clinical facility we are setting up with 140 beds. This is a 5-storied building with ample room for expansion to take it up to 210 as necessary. In terms of revenue, this facility in its current setup can deliver about 250 crores of top line.
Okay, so this was an announcement too in July 2018 when
Yes.
you have incorporated a new entity. So this was an announcement that in the 5th year it will be approximately 250 crore of turnover. Are those targets still valid?
Yes, the targets are still valid. It's only going to be deferred by a little time, but otherwise the 5-year targets still hold good.
Okay. So next question is also about the future. How do you see the clinical research and preclinical industry in India and Asia, especially Asia, shaping up in next 5 years?
Okay, so there is a lot of investment that is going on into research and development, but contrary to how it was previously, where most of the research and development was concentrated and almost exclusively being done by large pharma companies, today there are many incubation centers which are promoting a lot of smaller companies to enter into research and development. Taking advantage of this, many large pharma companies have also started pruning down their research and development efforts, but rather are buying out the research done by smaller entities as soon as they reach a certain level of either a toxicology evaluation level, or in some cases even a clinical study level. The advantage that the large companies get is their risk is mitigated. Smaller companies, being much more agile, are able to adapt to the new market requirements at a much faster pace, and are able to, because of the sheer volume of the number of entities that are there in the research and development space, are able to dole out more number of products for these large companies to choose from. So each and every one of these research and development entities is a potential client for both preclinical and the clinical services. Add to this, pandemics such as the one that we're currently facing are also an opportunity for many of these companies to come out with new products, and all of them have to pass through these stages of preclinical and clinical evaluation before the regulatory bodies finally approve them for mass human use. So I would say COVID has been a double-edged sword. The long term, the midterm and long term is good because of the number of entities conducting research either for developing a vaccine or a potential cure for the symptoms of COVID.
Okay. So if I ask, what is your USP?
there are numerous firms in India and in Asia, especially in China. What is the USP of Venta? Why someone will come to you instead of going to any big and established player in clinical research?
Okay. I think the biggest USP that we have is our facility. As you might have, at least seen in the video, this is a world-class facility. Owing to the fact that this was designed and built by an American company to cater to their global regulatory requirements, they have built the facility as per the global norms, which is ISO 8 facility with I think one of the biggest USPs that we have is the individually ventilated cages in which all the animals are housed. Only two or three of the large preclinical services facilities in the country today can boast of 100% IVC facility offering services across the industry spectrum. So the major advantage that this is the much higher quality of reports that you can generate because of the quality of data, and also the acceptance of the report across all the regulatory bodies. So the same study report that is accepted in a country with lesser regulation is also accepted in the country which has the most stringent of regulations. So the clients have that advantage. They will also have this kind of advantage if they go, say, to an Edwinus or a Syngene also. But this is where our size helps us in the dexterity that we have. The turnaround times that we're able to provide because of our current size and capability is quicker and in line with the client's expectations. So, they get a better deal in terms of the timelines with the same quality of report as would a Dwinas or a Syngene. And then our legacy also, since Vanta Bioscience reports have been submitted to regulatory bodies for quite some time and the name continues, we also have that advantage of being in a position to submit a long period of control data as well.
Okay.
Yes, so these are, I would say, our major USPs. Coming to medical devices, we are one of only 8 NABL accredited companies in the country for medical devices, and so which is a major advantage during the COVID times. And since we are accredited to perform all toxicology tests for all these medical devices which are being used as protection against the coronavirus.
Okay. Any specific project you have been assigned for this vaccine or something for the corona?
As of now, we are not doing anything on vaccines. But yes, we are working on some products which are as supplements for this COVID.
Okay. I have heard that recently you have been awarded with a big order. If it is feasible, can you please share with us what is it about?
I'm afraid because of our confidentiality agreements, I cannot share the name of the client, but in fact, we have signed 2 major contracts. One is with a German company for multiple long-term studies, and one is with an American company for their long-term studies. So,
Okay.
so our progression with all these clients have been long-standing. So all these companies have been clients of ours for quite some time now, some even 3 years. But the difference is that initially they were awarding us only the smaller studies, say a 14-day or a 28-day talks. But these are the studies that we are now starting off for them are long-term studies, even even a multi-generation reprotox study.
Okay, fair enough. If I analyze this CRO market in India, it can be segmented into various categories. Like one could be service category, in which clinical trial, product development, process development, quality monitoring is one thing. You can also segment it into therapeutical applications, where is cardio, oncology, urology, neurology. You can have another bucket of these services. It could also be segmented into on the basis of the end users like pharma, medical device, academic institutes, data bank, and all. Where exactly Venta is heading to, where you want to capture your market space in next 4 5 years. So which is that segment?
Okay. So the two major areas of focus currently for us are medical devices and the pharma market. Of course, agrochem is also another one. The roti, kapda, makan thing. Roti is the most important, and agrochemicals is here to stay. But medical devices, if you have been following the global regulatory changes, Europe has had a major shift. So, as of May this year, Europe has completely switched over to the medical device regulations, which mandates all the products which have been previously approved need to be retested as per the current guidelines, which is equal for domestic manufacturers as well as overseas manufacturers. So all of them need to get their products retested and recertified. The only benefit that they have is whatever certificates they've had previously will continue to be valid, but only until the expiry, which is usually within the next 1 or 2 years. So all of them, new and old, have to get their products tested, which in itself is a substantial market for all the preclinical service providers across the globe. And pharma is a growing industry. As I had mentioned previously, there are many entering into the space of research and development, doling out several new or unique molecules which need to be tested.
Okay. So if we talk about the growth, what could be the challenges which the companies into clinical trials of medical devices like yours can face in future?
Currently, I would say only the regulatory changes pose any real long-term effect. But otherwise, on the short term, unexpected events such as the current situation now, or any unforeseen incidents which prevent us from actually running the lab, are the threats. In India, the industry itself has healthy competition. There is no unhealthy competition, thankfully. And since this is a highly technical space, the entry barriers are also quite high. And the gestation period required for getting these various accreditations, both domestic and international itself, is one of the major deterrents. For example, a typical ALAC accreditation, which is by an American body and which is mandatory for almost all global regulatory submissions, would take you anywhere between 1.5 to 2 years. And then similarly, an OECD GLP will take you maybe a year or year and a half. Our own NABL accreditation of the ISO 17025 is also a minimum 6 to 9 months of procedure. So having all these under our belt, gives us an advantage when we go to a client. And this is what will also differ many, or just any other new entrant to come and grab the market.
Okay. So as you have said that entry barrier, the 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 technological uh, compatibility, your capability is the main entry barrier. If I ask about the US FDA classifications, their requirements, their uh, level of scrutiny, does Venta has the infrastructure, skill set, and the resources to undertake like class one clinical trial project for US FDA?
Medical devices, you say?
Yes.
Yes. So medical devices, yes, we have been conducting class three. I think you mean to say class three, which is the implants primarily. Class one is usually adhesives, whatever does not penetrate the skin, etc. Class three are the ones that are your implants, pacemakers, stents, etc. Yes, we have the capabilities, and in fact, we have conducted several studies for our clients, which have been successfully cleared in the US market also.
Okay. In July 2018, you have made an announcement that the company is entering into China for preclinical services in Latin countries for chemical and agrochemical businesses. Is there any update on this, and what you see, like, do you still able to expand into China?
Yes, so we have tied up, or rather appointed, an exclusive, marketing and technical evaluation agency in China for working as our extended business development arm. So they have been quite active in several parts of China, especially in the industrial belts, and we've had a good flow of studies from them, and we are also very well established in the market there. We don't depend completely on this agency alone, but we also actively participate in all industry exhibitions, seminars, and we also regularly visit our clients and potential clients as well. So to this effect, we have been well recognized, our reports have been well accepted, and as I had mentioned earlier, we are also now in a stage where we are already offering long-term studies to the Chinese clients as well.
Okay. And what about Latin countries?
Yes, so it is primarily the Chinese manufacturers and the European manufacturers who have been exporting into the LATAM countries. So our registration of, so it's the registration of the lab in the LATAM countries that was initiated. And because of this COVID, it is currently, on hold from the countries in which we have applied. They have accepted all our documents, yes, because some countries have extended their lockdown until the end of this month. The process will be, the balance of the process will be completed hopefully in July, and we will have received our approvals by then.
Okay. So apart from China and Latin, have you also initiated any other initiative for business development anywhere else in the world?
So our in-house business development team actively reaches out to clients in the Europe and US as well. In fact, I have also been part of some of the client visits that we have had in the past, and we have a strong base of clients in both these territories.
Okay. Also, let us know about the team which you have, because team is a very critical part in a service industry. So, how many people you have, how much experience they have, and what is the team size?
Okay, so as you rightly pointed out, the competence of the technical team is of utmost importance. I mean, anyone can build a building and put in equipment, even the latest of them, but without the right kind of manpower to run those studies, it will be an ultimate failure. So, in fact, part of our team is Dr. Vyas Shingadgiri, who's an industry veteran himself. He's been part of two complete product cycle developments during his stint in Sun Pharma, Ranbaxy prior to that. And he's also headed their preclinical facility in the post of the president. So he's been part of us. He's in fact also a promoter in the company. He's on the board and also is the chief scientific officer. We have a very strong TFM who supports, who is in fact the right hand man. He's also highly experienced in this area. And we are very particular in choosing very strong and highly capable heads for each of our divisions. So this is to ensure that the quality of report that we give is not only acceptable for the semi-regulated but also the fully regulated bodies. The other advantage that we also have, or rather offer upfront to our clients, that we help them defend any of the study reports that we submit. This not many small and mid-sized labs can claim. Only the large guys offer this regulatory and filing support.
Okay. Uh, if I ask you about like uh, this all clinical research, this is long-term assignments, a very it could be a costly exercise for a small company. If a mid-size or a small pharmaceutical company come to you and say that we want to have testing or the research on a particular formulation or particular you know uh, this thing molecule, do you think that you'll be in a position to make a data bank of the studies which you have done so far, and then give access of that data bank of the data or the information which you have acquired through the process to be shared amongst those small companies so that they can cut in their cost and um, in that case I think the small companies could access you more. So is there any plan of leveraging that potential customer by sharing data with them?
So by the very nature of the work that we do, such kind of data is completely confidential and strictly enforced by the binding agreements that we enter into with each of these clients, and that would be a serious breach of trust and a conflict of interest for sharing this information with any other client for that matter. But having said that, there are always every client or every molecule does not have to undergo the entire battery of studies. So to ascertain basic toxicity, you have 14-day or 28-day studies. Prior to that, there is also range finding studies which will be done to first ascertain whether this can go to the logical next step or not. So the commitment is usually not for the entire pack of studies, but some companies choose to go step by step. And as I had mentioned earlier, it will depend on the company as to till which level of testing that they would like to take the product or molecule that they have. And many cases we have seen that these companies that are primarily research-based entities and do not look for actual commercialization of these molecules conduct the initial studies and then bring in a sponsor for that product who will be ultimately buying it out from them. The sponsor of that product would then bear the costs of the further evaluation that will be done on this product. So for example, one such example that I can cite is a product that we had done for an Indian company which had ultimately licensed out this molecule to an American company. So this was a very unique product that they had developed. In fact, we also had to put in a lot of efforts to develop the method itself for conducting the animal studies. But ultimately, it turned out to be a success, and this company had licensed it out for to the American company, I believe, for a very good payout. So, this is how companies can manage the costs, but also ensure that the requisite testing is done to take every product of theirs to the next stage.
Okay. So just for our information, how many projects of preclinical drug safety evaluation and these trials have you done so far in this
Since the
area?
last 3 years of our full-fledged operations, we would have done at least about 2,000 odd studies across these various industry sectors, spanning medical devices, pharmaceuticals, agrochem, and a few chemical ingredients as well.
Okay, that's a quite huge number. 2,000 studies are
So
good.
as I mentioned, we started off slow and at a low level, but as the quality of our studies was acceptable to these clients, the more confidence that they gain, the more number of studies that are awarded to us. So with some of the clients that we have today, we have signed, annual contracts of multiple ingredients as well.
When I think of expanding, how would you expand your business in clinicals? Do you have fund commitments, and is your balance sheet sufficiently cash funded for expanding into these kind of things?
Yes, we do have a strong balance sheet. We also enjoy the support of good investors. I must say the shareholders of Vanta Bioscience have been very helpful and understanding of the goals of the company and our future plans. No doubt this is an industry that needs a lot of technical competence, but I think the profile of the promoters and the key management personnel has been able to convince the investors and the potential investors to see that the company has a bright future.
Okay, fine. So anything which is left from the discussion, one thing which comes to my mind is for a small size organizations, for your client, small companies.
Mhm.
Regulatory filing, regulatory compliance management could be a big issue. So when you are evaluating those the projects, when you are conducting the studies, would you also help them, or I should say handhold them in regulatory filings and the licensing and all?
Yes.
Because if you do so, then you turn out to be a one-stop shop for some such clients.
Okay. We definitely assist all our clients as and when necessary for their regulatory filings. We help them up to the stage of preparing the requisite data, but the filing is ultimately handled by them, or they choose to outsource it to agencies. But we all, and after this step, we also fully help them in answering any queries that the regulatory bodies have on these applications that have been filed. And we have done so for a good number of clients in the past successfully, and we will continue to offer that service to all our clients.
Okay. So anything left to be discussed about Vanta so that investors uh, could ascertain how Vanta is going to do in future? Anything which you think you have to add in the whole of the discussion?
I think the industry as a whole is growing. In fact, there is, yes, there has been a dip and some bad reputation that India has had in the past because of some untoward incidents in the clinical studies that have happened. But that image is slowly fading away. There is a lot of confidence that is being garnered by many companies, both clinical and preclinical in the country. Not only that, there is a lot of investment that is coming into the Indian preclinical and clinical services companies from several overseas companies, owing to the technical capability and the expertise that is nascent to our country. Uh, I think there is a very bright future for this industry, and I think that's a very good note for all of us, both as promoters of organizations as well as investors.
Okay. So we have a lot of questions also.
Okay.
Uh, if I could just read those questions so that you can answer if you wish. So one the guest has asked, you mentioned about having certain 5-year revenue targets. Can you refresh us what are those targets and how would you achieve them?
Okay, so the targets that we have mentioned previously still hold good. We have, given these targets basing on firm commitments from our clients and the direction in which we are progressing in terms of our additional offerings. So, if it comes to Vanta Bioscience, the recent developments have been our enable accreditation, which puts us squarely in the capability or in the league of Indian preclinical service companies, which can offer services to the European market as well. So that is one major development. We are also expanding our service offerings in the PhysChem studies, which is a major part of our service offerings to agrochem and the new chemical entity sector. We are now awaiting our GLP inspection, which will be conducted as soon as the situation of COVID normalizes. But we're already having a very healthy pipeline of studies lined up for this area as well. So for Vanta, these are the two major areas in which we will be experiencing growth over the next couple of years. As far as Vyome is concerned, as has been made publicly aware, Encure is our anchor client, and they themselves have their in-house R&D, and a strong pipeline of molecules. And we are also active in reaching out to other pharma companies for carrying out studies for them. Our 2-year target for Biome is to get the US FDA and UK MHRA approvals within the first 2 years of operations, and then add the other regulatory accreditations as and when required by each of these clients' requirements.
Okay. Someone has asked about the current order book which the company has in hand. If it is feasible, then you can answer it.
No, sorry. I mean, you do understand being a listed entity, some
No problem.
information we cannot make directly public.
So the question about management, we have already discussed about the management team. You mentioned 140-bed facility coming up at Ahmedabad. What is the capex and how much the amount is being raised? So I think it's in 51% subsidiary of your wholly owned subsidiary, and
Yes,
you have put approximately 2 crore rupees in that company.
as
So
you. Yes.
apart from it, have you also invested in any other form in that clinical facility?
No, as of now, this is only the one clinical facility that we have invested in. We will be increasing the equity holding depending on the progress of the project. But yes, there is going to be more. So Vanta Bioscience is going to have a much larger equity holding in the company. It's not 51. It's going to increase in the near future.
What is the employees strength currently?
So at Vanta, the total technical staff is currently 60. In addition to this, we have some non-technical staff and who are primarily on a contractual basis. Animal handlers, then you have your security and other ancillary activities, some of whom are on contract basis. But the technical strength, real technical strength is 60 people.
Okay. As per someone has asked, as per recent report, major drug companies may still want to keep their preclinical development work in house. So what's Venta's strategy to catch up these type of companies?
Okay, so not only preclinical, but some large companies also have their own in-house clinical services. But outsourcing of this is as a, I would say, a strategic move for them. The major reason being any issue with any of their products will entail the effect of that on all the other molecules that they have submitted. So most companies tend to do in-house very simple and easy products which they consider very low risk, but anything that they consider medium to high risk are definitely outsourced. So just because a company has their in-house preclinical or clinical services facility does not mean that they do not outsource. So in fact, about 15 to 20% of our clients are those who have their own in-house facilities as well.
Okay. Exclusive agreement with Hong Kong Thinkway Trading Limited (HK) to expand its business in preclinical sector in Greater China. What's the progress?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, Hong Kong Thinkway is our exclusive agent for the business development and technical evaluation of the Chinese studies and our clients there.
Okay, fair enough. There are no more questions. I invite participants to ask if anyone wants to ask. So there are few in chat box. Kindly repeat the name of US company which Mr. Dopesh just mentioned. We have discussed many companies. I think he's asking about the company from which you have acquired the facility of preclinical in Chennai. What was the name of company? Kemin.
KEMIN.
Okay.
Yes.
How many quality analysts do you have?
I mean, I do not. So, is it the quality assurance department or see? Because I mean, typically all these, I mean, almost all these guys, you can put in analysis only. So all we do is analysis, either toxicological analysis or chemical analysis.
Okay. Uh, Mr. Mukherjee have asked when do Venta gets paid on or payment terms with the client? How are the payment terms? Do you get some advance? Do you get it after the study is completed? How is the workflow?
Okay, a typical contract would be 50% advance payment that usually we receive as soon as the test item is delivered to us and we ascertain the basic physical characteristics. So it's all visual analysis that is done. And the balance 50% is paid out once the draft report is approved.
Okay.
So on completion
And
of
how are the margins? What are your operating and net margins?
initially, yes, we don't, I mean, we have standard margins of about 15 to 20%, but I mean, this is subject to negotiation with the clients. Any new client definitely would look for better pricing, and to at least get a foot in the door, we do give some good discounts for the initial set of studies, with an understanding that once they are satisfied with our services and continue to seek services from us, we will be enjoying better margins.
So what could be the roughly margins?
Typical margins are about 15% or so.
How much?
15.
15%. Okay. Fair enough. Mr. Ajay Sharma has asked, can you tell us what are the key milestones of your company in next 3 to 5 years?
Okay, so as far as Vanta is concerned, one of the major milestones which now we are awaiting to hit is the full-fledged offering of PhysChem studies, which will start off as soon as the GLP scope expansion audit is complete by our Indian body GCMA.
No, I'm not asking. You can continue.
Hello.
You can continue, sir.
Yes, okay. So the next major milestone would be our entry to the European medical devices market. We are working both with the consultants and also looking to enter into a strategic association with one company in Germany, which will give us access to a large number of medical device manufacturers for offering the testing services. So this will be, so once we start off early next year, we will have a steady 2 to 3 year business for growth opportunities there. We will also expand as necessary for our pharma offerings as well once these two stabilize. As far as Vyome is concerned, the first year is to stabilize ourselves. Within 2 years, get the US FDA and UK MHRA accreditations, whereby we will be in a position to offer services to clients out of the European Union as well as the US. Most profitable industry, market, both in terms of value and volume as well.
Very much. Mr. Mukherjee have again asked, and that's a question comes to my mind also. They said that you have done 2,000 studies in 3 years, after 2017 till 2020. So that turns out to be a 2 study per day.
Work out that way. So
First thing, uh, like 60 technical staff,
Mhm.
is it okay? Like, are they capable enough to do a study of, two projects in single day? Uh, First, and then how would you convert these studies into financials? Like, when I see your profit and loss account of 19 and 20, sorry, not 20, 19 and 80. So you have done approximately 12 crore in 2019.
Yes.
So how would you, given, like, what is the average pay that you get on one study?
You really can't put average out study, because as I mentioned, there are studies which are as simple as COA generation, which is typically a 2-day study, and each study director and team can handle on an average 5 to 7 studies simultaneously. Not only that, some of the animal studies also, you do not have one team assigned to that study alone. So, okay, I think I will give you a little bit of technical background. So what is typically done is, once the dosage of any test item is ascertained and the route of administration, so it can be either oral or inhalation or by injection. So injection could be intramuscular, intravenal, or there are also patches. So patches. So the test animal is dosed, and then you will be observing it over a period of time. There are some studies which will need multiple doses over a period of time. So a study personnel or a study director will not be sitting with the animal throughout the day. So he will dose one set of animals and then move on to the next, and then move on to the next, and move on to the next. So we will have animal handlers who will take the observations. We also have sophisticated equipment to record all these readings of the animals. So a good amount of data recording is automated, and then you have blood samples that are drawn and sent for analysis. So we have very high speed sophistication equipments like LCMS, MS, etc., which typically handle thousands of samples at a time. So they are fed, all the samples are fed, and the machine is left to run overnight. It automatically processes all these uh, samples for giving out the results, which are ready in the morning by the time the technicians come in. So yes, typically each team handles multiple projects, and each project can be something as simple as a one that is completed in a day, to now what kind of studies that we are doing, which can last anywhere between 12 to 14 months as well. So you really can't average out everything and say this is the number of studies that you do per day. And these are the studies that we have conducted over a 3-year period.
Because most of the people who are attending this webinar, they come from finance background or capital market background. So they average out everything and try to reach to the median point.
No, being an engineer, honestly speaking, even I mean, until I understood the operations in detail myself, I also had several such questions. I mean, coming from a pure manufacturing industry, all we can think of is what is the rated output of the machine, what is the line capacity, what is the production volume, and ultimately decide on your bottles per minute, etc., and then multiply it by the number of working hours. So this is not like that. A typical uh, each study is different, unique in itself, unless you're handling the same compound for multiple clients.
Okay. So there is a next question in which there is a company called Vinta Lab, which basically tests products like, say, Nestle Maggie had more lead in it, and Vinta tested it. Can Venta do such similar things, or how different it is from the likes of Vinta Lab?
Okay, so Vanta and Vinta are in the similar space, but only difference is we don't offer, or rather, we are currently not conducting on food items, but we do conduct studies on ingredients. Uh,
Ingredient.
so, and if I have my facts straight, Vinta also provides assistance in formulation development. So, in fact, as far as Vanta is concerned, and if you put the larger group, that is the Sarvottam group, also into the uh, uh, basket, the research and development services are offered in Sarvottam. So, as a group, if you put all these together, we offer end-to-end services, right from research and development all the way to commercial manufacturing. So, when we present ourselves as a single group of companies to some of our large clients, we offer end-to-end services. So, I mean, since this is public information, I can give you examples of projects that are being handled by Sarvottam, where the clients include the likes of Amway, Procter and Gamble, GSK, for whom we have, or rather, are continuing to offer these end-to-end services. So, Sarvottam is doing the research and development of formulations. The preclinical safety assessment is being done by Vanta. In fact, some bioanalytical studies which are done on animals are also being developed and done by us. They have now been stabilized and validated there. This project is starting off, and then once the safety is ascertained here and parallel stability is also ascertained, the commercial manufacturing again will be handled by the Sarvottam group entities. So, to a large company, with a strong established brand, what we're offering is something that is, readily available for them to just slap their label on it and immediately take to market.
Okay.
I think. No, I don't think I have come across any other such group which is offering such end-to-end services in this space. Syngene is one which offers such services in the pharma and biotech product space. They aid in research and development, so they work in FTL agreements. Then they do the clinical studies. So Biocon gives the products typically. Syngene does the R&D as well as the safety assessment, and again manufacturing is done by Biocon or any other third party.
Okay. As a shareholder, someone has asked, what was the basic instinct behind coming out with an IPO at such a early stage of your organization? How that idea clicked you? What was the interest at that point of time?
Okay, so the response to this is in fact two overarching reasons. One is that, as I mentioned, this is industry with very high technical barriers and long gestation period. So initially, whatever funds we had sought from the market or investors was to take care of our capex requirements and also give us a little bit of operating buffer. The other was also, to bring in more answerability and structure into the organization. Because if it were a purely promoter-driven managed organization, you will not be able to get that initial acceptance from the client. So there will always be a doubt of a conflict of interest. So, this is owned by a company that is into research and development, into manufacturing, and already is working with several clients. What is the assurance that you can give? Uh, our confidential information is maintained in confidentiality and not passed on to the parent organization. So that's the reason why consciously we have kept it as a separate independent organization with its own board, with its own key management personnel, and thereby instilling that confidence of greater accountability into the clients as well. So in fact, this has practically worked out in several instances, especially with overseas clients. So these are the two main overarching reasons why we have gone public.
Okay. Uh, Fair enough. In your balance sheet, when I was going through your balance sheet, I have seen that the employee remuneration part was a very heavy item in the profit and loss account. Don't you have any ESOP policy in your company?
Yes, we are working on an ESOP policy. Initially, we didn't want to bring in too much complexity, but yes, we are working on it, and will be coming out with that this time.
Okay. Any other questions? Participants, if you have any other question, you can ask. I think they all are satisfied now. Any message, the closing remarks which you would like to give to your investors, prospective investors?
Okay. First of all, thank you for taking time out from your busy schedules in attending this to hear out about our company. And going by the questions that you have asked, I can see that you've taken a very keen interest in operating the company, future, etc. And I'm confident that we can take Vanta Bioscience places, and we will establish ourselves as one of the leading preclinical and clinical services offering company in the global market space. So I would like to thank all our shareholders for the confidence that you have instilled in us. Assure you that we will uphold it. Uh, I would also like to thank you, Bhushan, for arranging this series. Look forward to many such interactions with you.
Okay, fine, fair enough. So, if any of the participant has any query, you can mail it to us on queries@ccbindia.com. I'll be in touch with Mr. Dopesh and will give you a suitable reply. So, for now, we can say thank you very much, Rupesh for sharing all the information. It is a very useful piece of information for the investors, especially investors, because there was not much information about the company in the public domain, and now we can, we know a lot about the company and the business and the growth prospect of the company. So thank you very much for sharing all these informations. Uh, I would also like to thank Guna sir for arranging this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Good day.
okay, yes sir.